yet. Okay.
Lift and separate. Bra talk.
So welcome to What is Being You. We just did the control clearings, and I'm
Oh
Dr.
boy.
DrHelenGitlevich, and this is Rachel Silber, and we're both facilitator access consciousness. And I totally forgot to put the banner on, which is
That is so funny. That is hysterical. Hang on a second. I'm gonna just send it to a couple of places.
sounds
You're
good.
speaking, so you tell them all about who we are or where we go.
Yeah. And this is just informal conversation from just being you, what it means, what it doesn't mean. Because a lot of people have no clue what being ourselves mean, because we are so entrained of being a good wife, being a good husband, being a good mother, good daughter, good son, like all of that. But are we actually being us? How much of that is a contraction and being in a controllable environment and not being all of us? We're going to be talking about tools of access consciousness, and specifically based on a book, Being You by Dr. Dane Hare, which we just finished taking a 3.5-day class with Dr. Dane. Oh my fucking God. And Rachel, you're muted? Still muted.
Still muted. That class is available. Hey, Lale.
Hi,
That
Lale.
class is available on the Access Consciousness shop. It just recently went for sale, and I love the Being You classes because there are no prerequisites whatsoever, and you never know where it is that you're going.
It's pretty much no
through.
structure, no form. When we, Being You facilitators, facilitate those classes, we do have a manual, but it doesn't mean anything. It's still wherever the class goes.
Yeah.
Whoever is in the class. And with the last class that we just took, that was a rocket ship, or actually, I would say a rocket ship through the wormhole.
Yeah. That was a beyond. It wasn't a class, as I called it. It was a movement, and it was the willingness and the demand to go in a totally different direction than we have been up to that point in time. And it's great. It's wonderful.
And it's so grateful. And with everything that's been going on, I'm pretty much listening and re-listening to the class. And also Dr. Dane Kajabi's little app. What was the name of it?
It's having ease with change or something like that.
Yeah.
Change with ease.
After you take a class that changes so much, you have no idea who you are. It literally helps you to just choose more. And how much more can we choose based on who we are? What if it's much simpler than we think? What if being you is not what we kind of like decided it is?
Surprise! It generally isn't.
I'd actually like to ask everyone to drop your barriers and just expand. What will that create in your life? Because the expanded state is what we are, the infinite beings. So let's do it together. Just drop the barriers and expand and just be. How does your body feel? Because we cram ourselves into that little body And sometimes just in one part, like a head. I know I've done a lot of cramming myself into the head and thinking and having feelings and emotion, and it's all in the brain, all in the head. It's all electrical, and it's so tiresome. Yeah, it's so tiresome.
Well, there's a lot of efforting involved when you're trying to function. I was going to say, when you're trying to be you from other people's points of view and from the other things that you're picking up and the other things that you've already like aligned and agreed with, or that you've heard even in your head, because we're so aware, we're not actually willing to drop those barriers to ourselves and to wonder, if I were being me, what is it that I would enjoy? What is it that I would discover? How is it that I would see the world? What is it that I would actually enjoy right now? And we look at, what's appropriate, what's the right thing to do, what is it that's expected of me, what is it that'll make other people happy, what is it that, fulfills everybody else's needs, desires, expectations, and everything else. And where are we in all of that?
Nowhere to be found, because a lot of times after looking at other people's needs, requirement, expectation, all those projection and even rejections, we kind of like contract and we have no idea who we are, at least for me.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Yeah. Because I remember growing up, I was trying to please my grandma, my mom, my dad, all of them. And at a certain point, and then when I got married, my husband, and then when I have kids, my child, I have one.
Well, you had multiple four-legged ones, not just the one two-legged, just
Exactly.
saying.
And
You
just
might
making
not
sure
have
that they
birthed
are
them, but you mothered them, just saying.
absolutely, and just make sure that they're happy. When I got divorced, I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what I liked. I had no idea what I desired. It was totally like I had to discover myself.
Yeah.
And it was amazing journey. It was before Access, but still, I was in the process of even trying different foods because I had no idea what I like. And how many of us are totally have no idea
I
how?
love that you mentioned that, because you mentioned to me that you had gotten an Instapot and you were making, like warm milk and all these traditional
Mhm.
Russian foods. I was just wondering about that. And I grew up on falafel and artik limon and Texas barbecue afterwards and all of those kinds of things. And then I come to realize, we're so defined by the externals, by the culture, by the place, by what everyone else seems to choose. I mean, for me, sushi was just like, even as a kid growing up, that was just it was just not on the menu of choice. And that's just one little thing. And I discovered Indian food, and I fucking love Indian food. When I was pregos with Nestle, with my daughter, it was oh my god, there were no Indian restaurants in Guatemala at the time, and I fucking had to have Indian food. So every time my husband would board a plane, he would come back. Poor people on the plane, they had to smell Indian food the entire flight, but he had to bring me back, my to-go portion of something, because pregnant woman, you
Because it
you
was
just got
not
to deal. But
fun.
these were not part of my reality beforehand. So how tiny have we allowed our reality to be based on what other people have set as these are the flavors, the seasonings of what you may have in life, because this is the way we do it, or this is the way we function. And
And it's not just with food. It's the
exactly,
many of choices of everything. Food is just
just a tiny tiny element.
a tiny element, but it's an allegory for everything in our lives. Every choice we make, not on the menu,
Yeah,
don't choose it.
look at that,
And
not on the menu. It's not even printed on there in fine print.
Yeah.
It's just
And there
that
are
life
actually
is a
restaurants.
smorgasbord, and we take a little, oh no, only these, what are the specials of today, rather than, oh my God, you can have anything and everything.
And there are actually restaurants where you come in and they don't have a menu. I haven't been to one yet, but they don't have a menu. They just ask, what would you like? And they create it for you. So that's what being you to me is. We actually choose what we like, not what's on the menu, not what other people choose, not following the traditional. And a lot of times it can be very intense. A lot of times the intensity can be so overwhelming that we shut down ourselves. And I know with me, even today, when we were doing the clearing, um, it was so intense at certain point. Yeah. And
I'll
Rachel
be
was
right
leaving. Yeah. And a lot of times with being intense, we shut ourselves down so to fit with other people's mold, with other people's realities. So we have that small thing. And even today, when we did the clearings out of control, it got very intense. So I'm like, oh, let's leave the clearings. Let's do everything is opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is opposite of what it appears to be, because I was ready to explode. The intensity of me became so much more, so much out of control that I couldn't, like, I couldn't fathom that it's possible to go beyond that. And I know we are talking about what is being you, and also what is being you classes. It's getting you out of that controlled environment and moving you into something greater, something that you don't even realize you're capable of because you've been so shut down by other people, by yourself, by whatever obligation, obstacles, whatever is there. And I love Lale comment. What? Choose what you like? Yeah, we have no clue that it is even possible a lot of times. Uh, at some point years ago, somebody mentioned, but you can choose something different. And that was, I think, 20, 30 years ago. And I looked at that woman and says, I don't have a choice. And when she looked at me back and said, but you know what? Not having a choice is still a choice. And that was an eye opener for me. What do you mean not having a choice is still a choice? Because we choose not having a choice. We choose contraction. We choose not being us. And Dr. Dane, during Being You class, was talking a lot about the not me, where we created that image or that something that other people see almost like a mask. That's not us, but we kind of like lose contact with the idea that we created it. And so much of everything that we look to the world is through those lenses of not me. Because that not me is a lot of times what stops us from being us. And during those being you classes, those masks, those limitations starting to come off. Those things are not choosing, is not allowing us to be totality of who we are. And what if we actually start choosing that? What if we start choosing more of who we are instead of not me, not you, and just what we created? So we are so limited, so small in terms of being the intensity of us, the intensity of being. And I'm actually doing a class this weekend on Sunday, the 21st, the intensity of being.
Yeah.
One day being your adventure. And how much more can we create by using tools of access consciousness, by using the tools that in Being You book, that allows us to change what's not working for us, shift that image that we decided that it's kind of
That
like
we have to have.
this small compared to what we actually are.
Well, I mean, if anybody listened to the out of control clearings that we did this particular time, what is it? Was it day 37, I think? Because we've been running them.
It's in the same group. It's just about what we just
Previous video in same group, in the Being You Without Hiding group. It was specifically about, are you creating teeny tiny, contained, controlled, appropriate, permissible, this is the way everybody else says that you ought to be? Or are you willing to be that greatness, the phenomenons, that exuberance, that presence, that out of control being you? And I'm sorry I missed a bit because I was being me with the water delivery people.
And a lot of times we miss that because we have to do something. And we chose to create that, and that's okay. What if there is nothing you miss?
Yeah, that's very true. You just are being in a different space, in a different interaction. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. When I was in my 20s, I guess, 19s, late 19s, but I think mostly 20s, I remember walking into like Barnes and Noble and into other bookstores, and I wouldn't head to like fantasy section or fiction and novels and romance novels, and no, I would go to quote unquote self-help section, and I was looking for self-help. I was looking to be fixed.
Yeah.
Which is so funny to me because I was looking to be fixed and I didn't realize and I didn't recognize that I didn't miss anything, as you were just saying. There's nothing missing. There's nothing broken. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing, any of those things. There's just this where you've been and what you've experienced has brought you right here and right now. And when you're willing to look at things beyond the barriers and the barricades, as you were saying at the beginning, lower barriers and allow yourself to expand and to receive. There is no missing, and there's no missing out. There is just such beauty and softness in being. And
when we are being that space, everything is just being.
Yeah.
There is no right, there is no wrong, just be. And in this space, we are aware of everything. So we're not missing out. That fear of missing out, the FOMO, does not exist.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not been, and I used to be driven by the fear of missing out, like I said, for many years, from my 20s or whatever. And somewhere, one of the gifts of this past year for me has been more going in and nurturing me and really celebrating being and knowing that I know what works for me. And there has so not been any missing out. There hasn't been that, regret or the frustration or the, oh, I should. All of those shoulds just kind of melted by the wayside. It's, what do I know? And, what contribution is this right now? Is this conversation, or is me interacting with the water people, or is just being here and, oh, little birdie. Remember my friend, the little yellow bird that comes in the clearing sometimes or whatever, came as well earlier. And it's just this receiving this pleasure with every moment. And it's a different space of functioning, a different space of being. And I'll also say, oh, thank you, Lale.
I adore you too.
We adore you a lot, a lot, a lot. And like I got to hear Lale yesterday, or no, I heard her today, though she spoke yesterday. Sorry, delayed reaction kind of thing. Because I also signed up for the Greatest Adventure book club. So it's a beautiful yellow book. It's one of those like coffee table books, and it's all about the adventure of being you and how do you apply the tools of being you in day-to-day life
And how your life changes too.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes from the perspective of, the different people, the different facilitators who were being you facilitators a couple of years ago, who put the book together and wrote and contributed. And it's so beautiful. And there is a book club that's going on right now in English. I think it's began yesterday, and in Spanish and German, it's beginning like in a week or two. But it is such a beautiful space. That's what I so got when I was listening to the replay today. That space that opened up of ease, of relaxation, of melting being.
Just being.
It's beyond words. It's tough to describe. It isn't a how-to. You do this, you do this, you do this, and then that's being you. No, there was this trying to be everybody and everything else, and just allowing yourself to come through, to blossom into being. And I perceived that space so palpably when I was listening to the recording, and I perceive that space so palpably when we do the clearings, the out of control clearings. And I perceive it by looking out. And this is so funny. So when I'm doing those clearings with you, I perceive your space opening up. And then I'm like, wow. Yeah. But the thing is, when it's us, it's so close, it's so familiar that we almost don't recognize the gift and the change and the being until we see it in somebody else.
And a lot of times we actually ignore it and contract back.
Yeah.
And what if we don't have to? What if we can be that space, an invitation for everybody to choose more?
Well, that's been the demand in my universe since I've started doing the daily clearings, and and asking you to do them with me. And
kicking my butt into doing that.
Yeah, because the first 30 days you were just not into not the out of control ones, but the Gary recommended ones, doing 30 times a day for 30 days. You were like, oh, I'll do it sometimes, but there was this, I'm going to show up and be me. And it may be just a tiny little ripple, whatever little, tidbit I'm throwing into the pond of life and living in the rippling out of consciousness in the universe. But whatever the fuck it is, I'm willing to be that ripple.
Yeah, it's that showing up piece that's been interesting. Since I became being you facilitator, I've been showing up much more.
Yep.
It kind of like the invitation, but also a push to be that, but without being pushed, without being controlled, without the obligation, without all of that makes me resist and react. It's just melting.
I love that. Makes you resist and react, eh?
Yeah, because a lot of things in our lives, we either align and agree or resist and react. And I love the beautiful tool of Access is interesting point of view.
Which is usually written as a reminder on my hand, but I didn't do it today. Let me actually write it.
Let's see.
I love that tool. And I usually do a reminder for me on my hand.
And exactly. With interesting point of view, you look at things through different perspective. You literally change your perspective. You change your point of view. Yep, I see that. I might start doing that. I like the idea.
Well, the thing is, I stole it. I stole this from, I think it was Julia that I had seen once, Julia Sodas, with IPOV written on her hand. And I don't know if she does it regularly or whatever, but I was going through my, ups and downs and roller coastering of life. And especially recently over the last few months, this has been life-saving. as a little reminder when I'm in conversations in, with family or, this reality kind of stuff, to know that I have a choice, that I don't have to take in and make relevant for me every single thing that I'm perceiving. And this is actually really interesting, because sometimes previous to this, I would perceive so much, and then it was, and I'm sure I'm the only one on planet Earth that does this, the perception was so intense that I didn't want to hear it. I had preferred to shut it out, to tone it down, to medicate myself, the poster child for just avoiding and withdrawing and hiding. And then came
It's not
July last year.
acceptable. Yeah,
No,
it's not acceptable in this reality. The intensity is not acceptable. The gratitude, that big of a gratitude, that big of awareness, that big of everything, life in general has to be very small.
yeah,
So
and
when you
continue.
go out of that mold, you literally are not acceptable. You are not connected to other people. You are outsider. And in history, anybody who is outsider got killed,
Yeah,
either by animals or,
yeah,
so you have to stay in a tribe, and the tribe controls you.
yeah.
When we are being us, we are not controllable anymore.
No, we're
And
not under the weight, literally, of carrying all those judgments and all of those points of view and all of those things that we've made so relevant and so real and so true. They're just
no,
no longer those things that pull our strings like little puppets that have to act in particular ways. And I've been kicked under the table, like in conversations or whatever, for being too much. That's been something that I've been accused of over and over and over.
me too.
Too much, of perceiving too much of, but I didn't realize that was perceiving. And I would tell you, even a few years ago, when I had a conversation with one of our friends, who said, what topic would you like to talk about in this show? And I said, are you truly aware? Because I didn't see that I was aware. I would
Mhm.
just look through everybody else's eyes. I would literally like hop into their heads or into their worlds and try to look back, rather than allowing myself to be the space of me and the energy of me, and lower barriers, and actually begin to get to know me.
Mhm.
And I would try to look through somebody else's judgments, somebody else's points of view, somebody else's way of defining what's appropriate, defining what's true, defining what's real, defining how to be.
Yeah,
And I was trying to get everything, even being an access consciousness facilitator, right. And now it's like,
yeah.
no.
So with all of that, not being right and wrong, just being.
Yeah, yeah, there's such a freedom.
And what if you actually choose being? And you can learn more about that in the Being You classes. There is a lot on beingyouadventures.com and also on accessconsciousness.com. And
And,
you can see
and
I'll
also the book, Being You,
book. Yeah,
Changing the
just
World Day
read the
After Day.
book.
I think it's the 10th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, because
Mhm.
it was probably the second book that I bought
Yeah.
in
First
Access.
book for me.
Okay, I got
A
money as well.
lifesaver.
You are.
Literally saved my life in India.
So tell us
And
about that.
oh,
How
that
did
was an interesting journey. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's taking that book on a journey, using the tools allowed me to survive very difficult situations, emotional, physical hardships, and it's changed completely. Like one of the examples was, well, first of all, I took my first bars class right before the trip, and being on a horse in Himalaya on a cliff, found out that I don't have my claustrophobia anymore.
you don't have what? Whose claustrophobia?
Claustrophobia is, oh, I'm sorry, not claustrophobia, fear of heights. Fear of
Yeah,
heights.
yeah, yeah. But you said my.
Yeah,
It wasn't yours.
probably not. But what's interesting in Being You book, there was tool. How do you talk to horses?
Hmm.
And I asked my horse to take care of me. And it
Yeah.
was such a beautiful journey with finding out I don't have fear of heights, but also the horse taking care of me throughout the whole journey, making sure that I'm far away from the edge and not close enough to the stones, to the like branches. And it was such an amazing journey.
Well, I love
And
that. I love that you asked
yeah.
a. Oh, it's just an animal. Some people say. People
Oh,
who
no, no,
don't.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Animals have, and that's what you'll learn in those classes.
Yeah.
Those classes give you the same tools that's in a book, but also a lot of facilitation to choose for you. So
Mm.
that's kind of like our little conversation about what is being you, and join us in any
It
classes.
would be amazing. And I was going to say there's so many different things that are available that you can find on the Access Consciousness website. There's so many. Oh my God, the shop there is just filled with all sorts of yumminess, including that amazing Being You class that we just had, including your. People can sign up for your Intensity of Being class. And there's so many other amazing facilitators that are facilitating phenomenally. And everybody, and this is something that to me has been such a gift. Each of us takes these tools, the very same tools that were given in the manual or in the Access Consciousness classes, and somehow we weave them with our being into being this beautiful, melty invitation to other people who can receive. Maybe they receive from me, maybe they receive from you, maybe they receive from Lale. They receive things in different ways. And all of these energies and all of these it's just gifts of being
Yeah.
go out in the world and
And they melt the world because it also changes other people,
yeah. Oh, and
changes your
I
relationship,
so
changes
love
your
that.
money. So
Changes everything.
everything. And
That's so cool for me. Typically, I would choose classes because I have to admit something. I'm also a Being You certified facilitator as of, whatever, last year.
mhm.
um, I avoided the Being You classes like a fucking plague. I took practically every other class in Access rather than the Being You. It's like I refused to be me, but I would fix money, I would fix business, I would fix dealing with entities, I would fix the body, I would fix parenting, I would fix, 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 fix.
Yeah.
And I didn't
And what if we
celebrate
don't have to
my
fix
knowledge being
anything?
me. Exactly. That's the gift of the Being You tools for me. They're underlying everything. Whether you're looking at business, whether you're looking at, your voice, whether you're looking at how you function as the dominant entity in the room or the world, everything beneath everything, in every single way, the energy that's there, the unique gift is being you. And that willingness to be that fullness of you, the intensity of you, the joy of you, the beauty of you, the phenomenons of you, the gratitude of you, that magic that you bring, that flavor is beneath all of it. And that's the,
That's
to
the
me,
gift.
that's
That's
the
the gift.
gift. That is
Mm,
the absolute gift. And I am so fucking grateful for
so
every
grateful too.
moment because I've received me. After 10 years of using these tools, I've begun to celebrate and to have me and to see more of people celebrating and being themselves, which gifts the world a different space. for greatness and for possibilities and for gratitude. And our friend Lale is also organizing a phenomenal event for 30 days, gratitude. Um, and I'm, like I said, I am beyond words grateful for all of these tools. I'm beyond words grateful for you, Helen, and for Lale, and
I'm
for
grateful for you
the
guys
choices
too.
that we're having.
For every facility and everybody in access and outside the access, the world, Earth.
That are
And,
choosing more, they're choosing
and
something
what are you
different
going to
that's
choose
available.
now? That's my question. I mean, we chose, but what are you going to choose now? And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you someday,
Oh,
either
it'll be so amazing.
online or in person.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
And how does it get even better? Thank you,
But
everybody.
does it get any better than that?
So excited for the gift of being us. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.